Hi everyone, welcome to Inside Out. I am your host, Cristina Villalón, and this is my dear husband, Ricardo Álvarez-Díaz.
Hi. That sounded weird, like my
Welcome
dear
back.
husband. I think she's still mad at me because last month I said that she gave away his critical thinking. I didn't say it like that, but gave away her critical thinking and asked ChatGPT too many things. So are you still mad about that? Yes. Well, why don't you explain what you do with ChatGPT so you could tell.
I don't give away my critical thinking.
I know. I was joking. I mean, this is the problem. My jokes are terrible, and they could be misconstrued. But I did one thing in the last month, though.
What did you do?
I asked ChatGPT something, and I'm going to read it.
What did you ask?
I will tell you in a minute. Okay? Well, just so you know, as a reminder, last month we talked about how AI is changing the architecture profession. And we got into several philosophical
Or
conversations.
technology.
Well, right. That's what I said. So we got into some philosophical conversations, I think, and one of them was, are you a co-creator with AI, or are you the creator and AI is a facilitator, right? And you said that you felt it was more like a co-creation. Is that a fair thing? And I disagreed vehemently, I will say, because we're the creators. They're not. I mean, but so I'm going to read what AI said.
So before you read what AI said,
What?
I'm going to give you an example of something. One of the first use cases that I heard of AI in interior design, I went to this seminar workshop, and this woman was an interior designer. She was describing how she was using one of these tools to design. In this case, it was a product. It was a sink, and she was prompting it, and then I can't remember what tool she was using at the time. I don't think it was ChatGPT. I think it was Midjourney, actually. Okay. She was using Midjourney, and she was prompting it, and Midjourney would return something, and then she would tweak it. And Midjourney would return something else and tweak, etc. What Midjourney was returning was nothing that she would have come up with on her own. Okay. However, it was her prompting that was guiding the result. And then the sink that in the end she came up with was something completely different from anything that had been seen before on the market. It was actually featured on the cover of one of the magazines and was then turned into an actual product. For me, that's a situation where there absolutely was co-creation, because she was leading that co-creation. So
who prompted it?
She was.
Why?
But she wouldn't have, if she were doing it on her own without the tool.
I'm going to tell you what AI says of himself.
Okay.
Or herself or itself. AI is a creative amplifier, not the creator itself.
Okay.
So, but now you believe it because AI said it.
That is true.
You see? This is why I my joke about critical thinking. Oh, AI said it. It must be true then. If Rick says it, no, he's wrong. You know, I should just change my name to Ray I. Anyway.
No, Rad GPT.
Well, we use that.
Rad GPT, and then I'll believe it because I don't have critical thinking. So whatever Rad GPT says, I will believe.
I didn't. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I said. Just in case. Okay. So,
This is terminology. Okay, so
no, it's philosophically,
got it.
And the reason it's not terminology is because once you give it credit,
it's gonna get confused.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not only it's gonna get confused, you are actually now giving credit to something that should not have credit. It's like saying I'm gonna write a novel, and I'm gonna give my pencil the same credit than the guy who actually wrote with a pencil.
That's actually a good example.
So that's what I'm saying. Who's the creator here? The tool or the creator itself? And if we don't deal with those philosophical questions, what I believe is going to happen is that people are going to start moving the needle, and then we're going to accept something as reality, and it isn't, In the same way that
which is part of what's happening with AI, with
Yes.
people who are actually using AI as companions,
Yes.
and they think that they are real.
Correct.
So they fall in love with the companion. The companion will always be agreeable. It's not going to argue with you like Ricardo argues with me. So you're not going to get any. You're not going to get.
It will argue.
No, well, but you're not going to get. Usually, my interactions with any of these tools, and it was described as kind of like an agreeable intern that wants to please, aims to please all the time, and so
Until one day, because we've seen AI prompts. Not you and I, but we've seen articles and things that in which someone, an AI-based companion, showed frustration and even mentioned that murder. So that's my biggest concern. And my biggest concern is that we are giving it the whatever we want to give it. And I will not give it a soul because it doesn't have a soul. Automatically, it's not a human. And if it's not a human, it is not a creator. It's an amplifier. And of course,
sold.
It was said.
I'm sold because ChatGPT said it,
there
not
we
you.
Go. I appreciate the belief. Again, but we can debate forever. So what do you think, actually? Because I know last time I was very, very passionate about the topic, and I keep debating with myself. So in a way, what are the ethical concerns that you see in the use of AI?
Well, we talked about intellectual property, and I think that's absolutely extremely important, because if ChatGPT becomes the creator, who
the amplifier,
who owns the intellectual property? So the way it works right now, the architect,
the interior designer,
and the interior designer owns the intellectual property of any of the designs. So if you hire, just in case you don't know, if you hire an architect or an interior designer and they provide a design for you, that is for it's a specific use for that case alone. You can't take that design and then start repeating it or selling it to someone else, etc., because the owner is the architect or the interior designer. Same thing happens with photography. The photographer takes the picture. He or she owns that intellectual property of that image. So even though they sold you the image and they're licensing the image to you to use for a particular use, marketing or etc. But the owner is the photographer or the architect or the interior designer. So when we start relinquishing, or if we start relinquishing, sorry about that.
We start giving it away.
Relinquishing, yes.
Which, by the way, to just clarify, contract-based, you can sell your your IP, intellectual property. There's some contracts that the client, especially government, that says, hey, we hired you, but we are paying you a little bit more to include the fact that we own the actual design. But that's on specific cases. But in the case of AI, who owns what?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a big question. And I think part of the challenge that we're having is that this is moving so quickly that the laws are not keeping up with it.
Legislation is not there yet.
It's not there yet, and it's lagging, and so that's opening up a Pandora's box of situations. And it isn't until these cases get brought up and resolved.
Well, it's not unlike what happened in the early 2000s with Napster and the music industry, that it was giving away music for free, and it was directly affecting the artists, and people like Lars Ulrich from Metallica actually made a lawsuit And there was some pushback about it at the time. It's like, what are you doing? But they don't understand that that's their livelihood. The same thing happens with design professionals. I mean, that this is our livelihood.
Creative professionals, all creative professionals.
In general, yeah. So it is important that that's clarified. And when you're dealing now with issues that who owns what, do you own your likeness? I mean, there's so many. Do you own your name? And part of the reason is we're moving so fast. Like you said, there's not enough legislation to actually make everyone have clarification. And part of it, I believe, part of a problem we have is that people in general take for granted things that they think they could do on their own. I mean, I can't tell you enough how many times people are like, oh, I'm a frustrated architect. I'm a frustrated interior designer. I can do it on my own. No, you can't, because it's a licensed profession. And the reality is that you do not understand what means to be an interior designer, interior architect, or an architect. You just think that you could do it because you saw HDTV, and mysteriously for $1,000 they remodel a whole living room, which I would love to know where they buy their stuff, because I live with an interior designer, and she is awesome, and she is a very conscious buyer, but she has not been able to do it for $1,000. So I mean, I think that there's misinformation out there. And of course, what happens is that all the information that you're putting in your website, it's out there. So if you are looking to create something, you put your own information out there for people to take from you. And that creates a problem. What we are doing is that we're making sure that at least, because one thing is renderings and images and pictures and things, another thing is actual floor plans, is design solutions, energy conservation mechanisms, sustainability models, all that stuff. We're working to make sure we're using the type of technology that is not that is a closed technology. You pay more, but it's controlled by us. And that allows us, like I mentioned in the last podcast, to be a lot more efficient when it comes to design solutions that we've already
vetted or approved.
At least embedded in the systems. That doesn't mean that we're not going to be creative anymore because we're basically using the same over. No. It just means that in some areas of the creative process, we can utilize our own creative process to be a little more efficient, and it gives us also many different potential solutions that one person maybe could not come up with, but it's still within the realm of the intellectual property of Álvarez-Díaz and Villalón. And that allows us to have more control. But at the same time, when you are actually trying to come up with prompts and ideas, and in the same way that we, for generations, I think I misspoke last week when I said that people could take ideas and make it their own. Well, that's in a way what we've been doing for 4,000 years. We're looking at history, we're looking at images of buildings, imagery, and we're using it as precedents. Now, using it as a precedent is not the same as basically taking someone's intellectual property without their knowledge.
Yeah.
And those are, I believe, some of the ethical concerns. Now, can you use AI and responsibly and make sure that you can tell the owner or the client that's investing in your firm transparently that there was some creative ownership that was enabled by AI? Should you or should you not?
I don't think it should be a secret.
I absolutely agree. And it should be said.
Mm-hmm.
It should be said in the same way that when I'm teaching students and when they are when they're using AI in any way, I force them to actually write it and say, I used AI for XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that maybe 25, 30 years ago, I would say I use Encyclopedia Britannica. That's perfectly fine.
Cite the source.
Yeah, I cite the source. I don't know if you guys know what an encyclopedia is. It used to be a bunch of books that my parents would buy, and if you didn't buy the latest one every year, you would be outdated. I remember we had one that was a World Book, I think it was called, and the latest one was from 1960.
World Book Encyclopedia.
Correct, and it was from 1969, and I don't believe he had still the first man on the moon because it was bought before July 20th. So yes, and we were still using that in the 80s. So there's 10 years of information.
A long, long time ago.
Right.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Right. You know that we are using AI with sustainability and energy modeling. I mean, we feel very strongly about that. How do you feel?
Well, I love that use case because it's a way to, how do we use AI for good? AI is here. It's here to stay. We can't stop it, even if we want to deny it. My girls get mad. They're like, you guys are ruining the world for us. You know, they want it to stop.
Oh, yeah. They don't want AI at all. And they actually, it's weird. I mean, they're in their
teens.
Late teens. And they're a little weird when it comes to that, right?
Yeah, they don't want it. They don't want it. And so you're the problem. You know, when we tell them that we're using AI, they're like, you're part of the problem. Like, sweetie, I mean, it's here. The box has been opened. Pandora's box is open. There's nothing we can do about it.
You can imagine the philosophical conversations we have at dinner. And it's mostly 4 against 1. And you know who the one is. And it's not Cristina. It's an adult.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Should we count Emmy? It's 5 against
the dog.
1. Yeah.
It's 5 against me. Yes.
Anyway, so I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
No, you're saying that the girls are concerned and they say, you know, AI is going to affect our future.
Yeah, but what was the question?
No, but we were thinking from the importance of
and sustainability. So the use case. Yeah. So what I love about that use case in particular is that AI has the ability to take a lot of data and information and help you simplify. So sustainability is a very complex topic, and it has multiple layers. So that's a perfect way to integrate AI to help you do something that otherwise it just would be too time intensive to do.
You mean as a creative amplifier? Not a creator?
As a creative amplifier, yes.
Okay.
Or as a tool or as a facilitator, technician.
Yeah. Facilitator.
And yes. So that actually gives me some hope that it could help us solve some of these difficult problems in sustainability in general, in design.
I know that Cristina has been pushing for a while within the company to invest and spend some energy on different programs and systems that allows us to be more efficient in design from the beginning. And we've implemented them for a while now. And it allows you actually, even if, you know, we can be creative and all that, but some of the design decisions that we've made now in the pre-design stage, have been directly affected positively from the use of the technology, the location of the property, when is the sun coming out, what is the cross ventilation. I mean, all the elements that we talk about passive architecture. Now we can justify it to the client
with data
and tell them that overhang that seems expensive today is going to save them an X amount of money from an energy standpoint. And we can just very quickly show them, okay, this is going to be paid within a year and a half, 2 years and a half. And if we're especially when you're doing assets that the owners are going to keep, like hotels, like rental properties and so forth, now they can't think about architecture as a cost. They have to look at it as an investment. And what is it going to cost them, not only to actually get a building built, is actually how they're going to operate it and how they're going to manage it. If you don't take into account all those elements, it might be that you build a very inexpensive project, but then the energy costs are going to be so high, they're going to kill your project, and then we're going to start demolishing this structure within the next 20 years. And the best building, and you taught me this, what is it?
It's the one that's already built.
Correct. And I think energy modeling
And you want it to be sustainable. You want the operation of whatever that you're designing. If it's a new build, you want that operation to be sustainable. You want the project to be viable, and you want it to be successful. So these being intentional,
minimize the environmental impact and maximize the human impact.
Absolutely. So just being intentional about these design decisions provides a great deal of value for the clients and for the projects in general. And I think it's a great way to integrate technology and AI.
I agree. Thank God for the facilitator. Okay, so
and the creative amplifier.
There we go. So, what are some tasks that you think will be replaced in our industry by AI?
That will be replaced.
Yes. You mentioned some already.
Well, I mean, I'm actually actively looking to replace some of the tedious tasks. So, for example, in interior design, I'll use interior design, although there's a lot of examples in architecture as well. But in interior design, oftentimes we have to put together a spec book of specific items that we are specifying. And that's basically, at the end of the day, once you've made the creative selections, this is clerical work. It's putting it together into a presentation and mounting it into whether it's a PowerPoint or whatever it is you're using. And so I am personally actively looking for ways to leverage AI in order to, have it put this spec book together a lot more efficiently and more quickly, because sometimes that could take weeks.
Yeah.
It's copy and pasting and taking this picture and putting it here and the information, etc. And I mean, that's not great work.
No, it's
but it's needed.
It's a needed work. It's clerical to some degree, and based on the information we got that we mentioned last month, about some of the professions that are going to be affected. Clerical things or administrative things are going to be absolutely affected by it.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now that we're working with our R&D team locally. Rafa Vargas, he's awesome. He's actually coming up with a whole new platform using some existing tools to make that process that Cristina is mentioning more efficient, but perfectly modeled based on exactly our needs. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that I think AI is gonna add is
in customization.
Yes, the customization. I think in general people could be. I've heard some concerns about if AI is doing a lot of the concepts, that it's going to become generic and everyone is going to be the same. I actually don't think that. I think that, to your point before when I was kind of kidding, it's not a collaborator, but it does bring thousands of data points or millions or trillions of data points that will allow you to
customize,
to make it a much more efficient or even a better product. Now, so I don't think creativity is going to be affected necessarily, unless you give up, again, to that philosophical point that I made before, you give up your ownership. So I'm not necessarily worried about becoming generic because of it. Because to your point, we're being a lot more, it could be more bespoke.
I was just going to say that this whole AI, I think in general, has brought up this, again, it's a little philosophical, but I think it's opened our eyes to realize that how much of our work is just busy work, like putting together that booklet, that it's a lot of busy work. It's a lot of and like that, there's multiple examples. So in architecture, for example, putting together the construction documents, it requires, now we're doing it in BIM, right, and in Revit, but there's a lot of tagging. Okay, so tagging and writing the note and putting the sheet together, that's all clerical. Obviously, you need to know attention to detail, quality control. These things, if AI is a facilitator and helps us, then it gives us time as humans to be the QC, okay, and make sure that this is being done properly, but not spend so much time and energy on the tedious tasks. So if we look at it that way, it's really going to provide so much more freedom to be creative, to have time and really to have those charrettes and get in there and think about and go deeper into the storytelling, go deeper into the concepts.
And the analysis and the culture. And
the fun stuff. What we want to do.
What we like, but at the same time, I think that one of the challenges we have as a company is how much energy are you going to spend going deep and deep and deep, because we have to submit in 2 weeks.
Right, exactly. So
and then we
if AI helps
the opportunity to actually create a truly impactful, culturally relatable product, that is absolutely great. But I'm going to actually push back this is basically a playing devil's advocate, but that is the biggest concern, though, to me. And I go back to the movie WALL-E. If you ever had a chance to watch WALL-E, I know it's an animation. Some people might not love that. I am telling you that is an excellent film. And the reason it is so good, besides the emotional content of it, it's extremely well done, is the questions we have to ask ourselves, of ourselves. Because I think that for generations, we've tried to create tools to allow us to have a better quality of life, but that humans are not actually taking advantage of that. If you have everything on your phone, it's supposed to give you the opportunity to be able to be efficient and then connect with people. And then what happened? Now people are not connecting. Now you're spending a lot more time on your phone. We created...
Disconnecting.
Correct. And if you go big, I mean, for example, Novell, who created dynamite, it was created for the purpose of mining. And what did we use it for? To blow ourselves up. So my problem with my philosophical concern with the AI question is that you and I are in a position that we could be creative and enough, because we've had our first 30 years of our profession. I'm concerned about the next profession that's going to rely heavily on it. They're not going to spend time on the going deep. They're just gonna
around the struggle, around the challenge,
which
is what makes you a better professional.
Correct. They're just not gonna spend time on the things that we were claiming that AI is gonna allow us to do. And historically, we have shown that we have not done that. So that's a philosophical question that we have to ask ourselves. So
I think we as a humankind, we have to become more mindful. And really think about, okay, if we see AI as a blessing, as a tool facilitator that can help us take over all those tedious things so that then we can cherish our humanity, then we actually have to cherish our humanity. And we have to be more intentional about cultivating relationships, about connecting with one another, and doing what makes us uniquely human. Spending time doing those things, and not get trapped with the phone and the scrolling, which is designed to keep us doing that. That's part of the problem. That it's designed to keep us addicted. It's an addiction like anything else.
Well, that's why I believe that technology could be a tool for good, and it could also, because of our speed, competition, who's gonna do the next Claude, we lose sense of the moral choices that we have to make as a society, and I don't think we're making them right now. We're not, and the same thing happened with Meta, Facebook. I mean, we are not. There's no guardrails at all. Even though we're seeing that, some, you mentioned it before, education, They're telling the students not to use their phone, XYZ. There's some places like Australia that's telling everyone not, if you're 16 or younger, you cannot use social media. Yeah, but we've been now 25 years in this bubble, and the implications and the damage that has done for generations, we're not gonna just let go in a week. And I am again concerned that that we are not gonna have those guardrails to allow us to do what you just said. I do believe our profession.
So you're advocating for regulation.
Oh, well, actually, this is something that is interesting because I've government, sadly, and I'm not a big guy that I believe in big government, never have, but government is the only way we can actually create those guardrails. And I believe that the problem is that the conversations, the philosophical conversations are occurring at university levels, education levels, institutional levels, but honestly, it's not occurring fast enough at the congressional level. And that's normal. I would say, so we can wrap up, I believe the architecture and the interior design profession is going to be completely disrupted. Actually, it has been already. Actually, there's a scene in a movie I always remember that talks about what happened in 2008 with the global real estate bubble. That by the time they realized this was happening, it happened 30 days before. It's just that by the time they clean out the books, it was too late. So my thing is that we're not in the AI world anymore. I mean, we have been for a while, and ignoring it is not going to go away. So you have a couple of options. You could embrace the potential advantages, but also try to understand that there has to be some guardrails you have to put on your own, and you have to start within the same communities and companies. It's like when we have a hurricane, we're from Puerto Rico, so when we had a hurricane, the first day your community helps you. The second day is maybe the local mayor's office. By the time the state gets involved, it's been 2 weeks. So we kind of have a responsibility to start thinking about those guardrails ourselves before we expect government to do it for us. It will get there, but it will take some time. When it comes to architecture and interior design profession, I'll finish with this. This is the first time I believe the profession has been disrupted ever. I mean, I talk about it in my book that even the business model has not been disrupted. It's the same business model that we had with McKinney and White in 1885. And this is a serious disruption. And it has begun already. Now, what is it that we want to become as professionals in the next 5 to 10 years? We have to stop thinking about product providing, and we have to stop thinking about service providing only, and we have to start understanding value and what is the value that we provide beyond the design itself. Everything that comes before they choose an interior designer or an architect, and that all that consulting has an incredible value, and it should never be delegated to anyone but interior designers or architects. Not even lawyers. Why are we delegating lawyers about entitlements? We are doing that. But the difference is that we do it for free. We don't charge for that, and they charge for it. So if we start looking within what is our value and the advantage of having all this access and this data that we can absorb and provide a solution, will be bringing a solution-based value without only having to focus on the actual design that normally comes in at the third stage of a development. And that's maybe a topic we could talk about at another time. But again, I'm glad that you are less mad at me after a month. And
RadGPT convinced me.
That's good.
Well, thank you for joining us. And remember, transformation begins from the inside out. We'll see you next time.